The name of the company is actually just kind of a mesh of two things. We were Hear Me Roar Inclusion Cabaret, and we did a show called Roaring for Autism. And it was just a small show during Autism Awareness Month, like 3 years ago. Um, and when I was thinking about a name for this company, I was like, well, I don't want to get rid of the roaring because that's like they know us for that. Um, but then the epiphany came with how I was going to do it. How it was like one day I light bulb went off and there was just an epiphany as to how I was going to make this happen and give these people the opportunity to be on stage. And it was also an epiphany to me that I was going to dedicate my career, my life to helping them get to where they wanted to be. So that's where the name really came from. It's just a mashup. Hi, I'm RJ Vershad. I am the theater director for Roaring Epiphany Production Company. If you want to learn more about my theater company and how we do inclusive theater, please watch this video. We've grown so much, and that's just in programming and participants and the way we do things. We had never thought before. Steve and Tom happened to be two playwrights that did our sci-fi playwriting festival, and they worked so well with us that we decided to make them resident playwrights. So that's something that happened this year. But now we have this inclusive theater company that is producing these shows, and we're currently all virtual. But we're making that work. We have a poetry group that performs. We have um, a the Steve and Tom writes the virtual plays that are doing well. So we're getting ready to start rehearsal for those again. But during that time, I was like, how do I make this better? And so I just completed my master's in applied behavior analysis. And my capstone, or like thesis, as you would call it, was a paper on applied behavior analysis in the arts. So that is, just teaching theater with the use of positive and negative reinforcement, and just really having them holding them accountable for what they're doing. For instance, we have people who don't have the best memory, so we want to work with them for memory, but we also want to hold them to the fact that we gave you a date to have something memorized, and if you need help, you need to advocate for yourself and ask for help, and we will help you memorize them. So it's a lot of things that like can translate um, for not only theater but for the outside world too, for people with disabilities. If you don't know how to do something in the real world, you need to know how to ask for help. That's really what we want to portray out there, that a lot of these skills that are in theater, being on time, checking in, calling when you're going to be late, these are also skills that apply to the real life situation. So we're focused on like helping not only theater but like your real life, and like how this generalizes to the to different community settings. The first thing we do have our Lions Den. Lions Den has been around since we started. It's a poetry group. It's a poetry and spoken word storytelling group, basically. They get together once a week and they meet. The current instructor right now does lessons with them about cadences, about rhyming, and then they write on a theme and they get homework and they turn it in. And by the end of the time they're done with it, they start creating the show based off their pieces. Um, it is every other month, and they work very hard. They're a very inclusive group. They're very friendly. They love each other. They've been together for so long, but they also are accepting of new members and have a lot of fun in that group. Repc Hangouts is going to be our workshop series. So we'll start bringing in, we haven't started it yet. It's coming up. We're going to start bringing in speakers to do workshops. We have a comedy workshop coming up. We have some some yoga workshops. We have some movement workshops. We have some speaking for the actor workshops that are going to be really good. Now, these for our company members are going to be free, but for the out to the public, there will be a small fee. And so that's the Repc Hangouts. We also have our virtual play series, which are written by our resident playwrights, Steve Hayet and Tom Misuraca, and they write plays for Zoom. I have really loved their writing, and I'm obsessed with them. When I started doing theater, Zoom theater, I was like, I cannot just watch people read Shakespeare. It's not a thing. And so I really challenged them to come up with like Zoom specific plays where it looks like the audience is watching a Zoom meeting. So, for instance, they would write this interview and they would like ensue a problem, a resolution, and all of that for this interview. And the audience would look like they're watching this interview. Um, so that's what we did there. And they've done a very good job with that. So I'm super excited about that to continue that. We also have our main stages, which are two. We usually do two main stages a year. Due to COVID, we haven't done them in a while because they're in person. Um, Usually the main stages are published works. Um, so we did Maybe with the Bathwater. We've started with Dog Sees God, but they can be original works too. Um, we devised a piece called Alice, which was a spinoff of Alice in Wonderland when she was 30 years old and in therapy for the voices in her head, which were the Cheshire Cat, the Queen of Hearts, and the Mad Hatter. So that was a fun show to do. So those are our main stages. We're gonna probably next year, hopefully, if we can be in person again, ramp those to two again. And then we're gonna start a speaker series as well. So this will be an interview with, people. We're gonna talk about a bunch of different issues: disabilities in the arts, body image in the arts, race and gender in the arts, all these things that we will have special guests on, to talk about. Even like directing people with disabilities is a whole topic that needs to be discussed, because a lot of times people with disabilities don't get cast because nobody knows how to work with them really. And so if we can start disseminating some of this information to them, hopefully we can get our mission covered of getting people into professional theater stages, or getting people on professional theater stages, because we've given the directors this way to do it. And we talk about that a lot. I think one of the things we talk about the most is, Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night. It took years for them to actually have someone with a disability or with autism play that role. And so I think a lot of times we advocate for those, that there are roles for people with disabilities that are being played by able-bodied people. But at the same time, able-bodied people with disabilities can also play able-bodied roles, and we don't want to pigeonhole them into just playing those roles that was written for them. So it's kind of like a give and take, because there are roles written for them that they're not getting, right? So then they're not able to be cast in the roles that they're fit for, but then they're not also able to be cast in roles that they're typically not seen for. So it's just a take, I guess you can say, a catch-22. It's very hard for them to be cast because they're not really looked at anyway, to be seen on stage. And it's kind of sad, and it's actually really sad, because some of these people are very talented, and I have been inspired myself by many of them, and I admire all the courage and work that they put into everything they do. We are going to start an education program coming this fall, probably. And what that is it's just going to be individually tailored programs for each person that joins. It's for people who want to learn theater and want to learn more about it, and want to, from the audition room to the stage. How do you walk in a room? How do you slate your name? How do you, dress for an audition? Then we're going to go into a little bit of like monologue. What monologue do you select for an audition? Then we'll go into, you've gotten cast, so how do you rehearse? Scene work, scene study. So we're going to practice all those, and then we'll go into the performance. And basically, this class will conclude with a culmination of everything that they learned, by creating their own showcase, which we would hope this showcase would be industry. We will have one industry night where we can invite people to come and kind of see them and get them some media attention. I think Roaring Epiphany, theater companies like Roaring Epiphany are so important because we do challenge the stereotypes of normal theater. We do things differently. And in short, we don't play by the rules all the time. We change up what people would expect. But because that's so rare, we're struggling. We're struggling to create this new idea and these new images of theater. And if we want to change theater and get more people cast in roles that they could be cast in, and start to see a new face in theater. We're seeing the same faces all the time now. If we want to change this, especially mainstream Broadway, if we want to change this, we have to be supported. And it's very important that our community backs us. It's very important that our government backs us. It's very important that, we are just helped in every way. Otherwise, we won't survive and that vision will be lost. My vision is to come back with a bang. This will be our 5th year. And so, with us being around for 5 years, one, it's such a momentous thing for us because we didn't know if we would make it to 5. It was a very big struggle from 1 and 2. So being 5 is really big, and hopefully next year we get to come back with a bang. We're looking at a few shows right now that we're looking at casting, which I think will be great. But my vision is to produce 2 high quality main stage shows. That is my vision. Probably 2 published works that we're looking at, and to really drive in our mission of our new branding, which is no judgments, just talent, and to really put on a show that people see in a different light. Like, you've seen this show before, but now you're seeing it with someone you never thought would play that role. And now you're seeing it and it's making you think about every show you've seen. It's really what we want. We want you to think about every show you've seen and go back and be like, you know what? That person that played this role in that show could have played this role on Broadway. That's what we want to see. We want to create this positive ring of like, that person was phenomenal, but we want them to be phenomenal because they were talented, not because they're well known. I am RJ Vershad. I am the director of Roaring Epiphany Production Company. If you enjoyed this interview and you want to learn more about us or work with us, please come to our website and check us out.